Petco Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
And good day, everybody. Welcome to the Padres Marlins Talking Friars pregame show. I am your host, Ben Fadden. For those watching live on YouTube right now, for those watching on replay, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications or that notification bell so you don't miss a video, don't miss any content that comes out, daily Padres content on this YouTube channel. You can follow the social medias at Talking Friars on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Got all the content there. I live tweet highlights during the game. A lot of plays, it doesn't just have to be Padres highlights, but errors, any moments in the game that I think should be out there, I put out there. So that's at Talking Friars on Twitter. We got a good pregame show for you today, or I do. Ari Fan Geek, what's up? Hope you're doing well. We got a big change, a few changes in the lineup tonight. We'll talk about that. We got Yu Darvish on the mound against Sandy Alcantara. We'll talk about that. This is May 6, 2022. That is the date. Second of 7 in the homestand, second of 4 in this series. Valley Sports San Diego, 97.3 The Fan, as always. 6:40 p.m. Pacific time is first pitch tonight. Tomorrow it is at, I believe, 5:40 p.m. Pacific time. The Marlins enter today 12-13. The Padres are 17-9 after last night's 2-1 win. Manny Machado, 2 bombs. Mick Martinez had 7 innings of solid work, 1 earned run allowed. Best start, I would say, probably in a Padre uniform. He definitely had to grind and get out of certain situations, but hey, that's what Nick Martinez is. That's what he's done pretty much every start that he's had. There's been some clunkers, but most of the starts he's, when he's given up 2 runs or something like that, he's had to grind out of them and get double plays. I mean, he leads the National League, I think, in double plays induced, and that is 7. He got his 7th last night. I agree, Manny worth every penny of that contract. I agree. Michel Baez, I did want to note that he had a rehab start last night in Lake Elsinore. 3 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He will be an option, hopefully, in the bullpen at some point later this season. And that bullpen could include Nick Martinez a couple weeks from now when Blake Snell returns. And I did an episode, which is available in podcast format and on this very YouTube channel, episode 158 that I did earlier today. It is out now, where I talked about the rotation and the rotation construction possibilities. There's a 6-man they could go to. There's a few 5-man rotation possibilities I think they should go to. So I laid out 4 different possibilities of how the Padres might lay out that rotation, involving Gore not pitching maybe. I don't think it would be smart for him to be sent to the minor leagues, and I listed out a variety of reasons in that episode, so I encourage you to go watch or listen to that. Perfect time after this pregame show before the Padre game. There's still over 2 hours before, so it's perfect. It's like a half hour long, so it's perfect timing for that. Padres are in second place in the National League West, a half game back. The Marlins are in second place in the National League East, 5.5 games back. What a win by the Mets last night. They're not making it easier on the Marlins to creep up on them, that's for sure. They're down by 6 runs going into the 9th inning, and they end up winning that game. I mean, serious props to the Mets for that. And just a big choke job for the Mets, really. As for tonight's pitching matchup, actually, hang on. Before we get to that, I'll talk about this more on the series recap reaction episode on Sunday that I'll put out and go live, obviously, like I usually do. But this kind of irked me. I put it out on Twitter today. Manny Machado was ranked 6th on today's latest MajorLeagueBaseball.com power rankings, hitter power rankings that they do. They just started it this year, I think. He has a higher average, a higher OPS, and a higher WAR than Nolan Arenado, and Arenado was ranked 4th on this list, 2 spots ahead of Manny. Just doesn't make sense. For some reason, when it comes to Manny, they like pretend that stats don't exist, and they just, for some reason, it's like they don't look at the stats. And what doesn't make sense to me, when you have a power rankings up, you should probably defend why you have certain players at certain spots and why you have player X over player Y higher than player Y on a list. And Major League Baseball, MLB.com doesn't do that. All they literally do in the power rankings, they just list the players and then they just put their stats down. They don't say, we're putting Nolan over Manny. I think Nolan should be over Manny because da-da-da-da-da. They don't say that. They just put Nolan's stats down. And then they just put Manny's stats down. It doesn't make sense. They put the voters' names at the bottom, so I tagged those voters earlier today. I encourage you to retweet that tweet or quote tweet it and say something, say your opinion on it. But yeah, Anthony says the media hates Manny. I understand, but when it's a power ranking, it shouldn't just be based on, oh, I hate Manny. You just look at the stats. Manny is better than Nolan Arenado this year. Okay, better hitter than Nolan Arenado. All right, we're going to put him ahead of Nolan Arenado in our power rankings. That's just common sense. Maybe that's just me. I think that's just common sense. Zach says, saw those rankings too, bogus. Manny is the NL MVP right now. I agree. Leads, I think, all of Major League Baseball in WAR. I know it's definitely the National League. Eric Hosmer was on Gwynn and Chris earlier today, and he was saying that too. He was saying how Manny, for him, would be the runaway MVP right now, and I would definitely agree to that. John Hubb says, listening to Chris Rose on John Boy, he makes the argument that it's just an East Coast bias. He even brings up Manny having better stats. Well, yeah, Chris Rose is right about Manny having better stats, but that whole East Coast bias thing, I get what his point is, if that's what he said, but that doesn't make sense because Nolan Arenado doesn't play on the East Coast. He plays in the Midwest with the Cardinals. And when he played on the Rockies, he played on the West Coast, and they still favored him over Manny. So I think it's just, you see Nolan Arenado's name, and you think of all of these spectacular highlights, right? You don't think of him being this like dirty player, I guess, is what some people think of Manny as, you know? And the thing is if you watch Manny Machado every night and you compare that to Nolan Arenado every night, I think you'll have a pretty good idea that Manny is more valuable than Nolan Arenado. To the Padres, definitely. I know Nolan hasn't played for the Padres. And then another thing is defensively, right? Nolan with the 9 straight gold gloves and all that. 1, Manny hasn't been in the National League for all those 9 years. And 2, Nolan Arenado, he makes plays look harder than what Manny makes them look. Manny makes pretty much every play look easy. Even on plays where, like back his first year with the Padres in Arizona, he made that backhand play running to third. He ran into foul territory, threw it to first, and easily got him. Nolan, with that play, he gets it and then turns and makes like 5 steps before throwing the ball. Manny makes the play and just throws it. He makes things look easy. And I think some people look at it and say, okay, that's a play that's easy. They don't look at him diving and doing all that. They see Nolan diving and making all these spectacular plays. Well, put Manny in that same situation. Would Manny have to dive for it? Would Manny have to take 5 steps before throwing the ball? Would Manny have made that throwing error that Nolan made this year against the Mets, where he took a few steps? I think it was one of those type plays where he fielded it, took a few steps, and then threw high and airmailed his first baseman. Would Manny have done that? I don't think so. And I know this was the hitter power ranking, so I'm kind of diverging from the point, but even Manny's offensive numbers are better than Nolan's this year. So I wanted to hit on that. I'll talk about it as well on episode 159 that should come out on Sunday. I'll go live on YouTube, this very YouTube channel, like I usually do after every series. But getting back to tonight's game, Sandy Alcantara on the mound for the Marlins, Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. Alcantara has a 2.90 earned run average. He's allowed a combined 4 runs in his first 4 starts this season. He allowed 5 runs and 2 bombs his last time out against Seattle. So maybe this is kind of like a similar case like Zach Plesac in that Cleveland series, where his last start was kind of like an outlier. But the Padres obviously hope that him allowing a bunch of runs continues, right? But he's been good. Those first 4 starts combining for allowing 4 runs, that's it. That's why you see the ERA under 3, right? And one of my what to watch for today is Alcantara. And, he signed that extension recently. I think it was 5 years, $56 million. So almost a little more than $11 million a year average annual value. So will he pitch like Joe Musgrove? And I wrote an article on Gaslamp Ball this offseason about Joe Musgrove and a possible extension. And this was before the Kyle Freeland extension had been signed. So I was comparing Musgrove to Alcantara. And it's like, okay, well, I think Musgrove's going to get more than this. And it comes out that the Padres' 8-year offer is at pretty much the same range that Sandy Alcantara's the extension that he got on an average annual value basis. So that, my question with Alcantara is he going to pitch like Musgrove? Like, is he going to shove and allow 1 run tonight like Joe Musgrove did his last start? And if he doesn't, I think that can help further prove Musgrove's case a little bit. Will Musgrove use it? Probably not, but it could help improve his case because Musgrove is a better pitcher than Alcantara is right now. And the Padres' last offer to Musgrove was $11 million a year. And so if Musgrove's a better pitcher than Alcantara, and Alcantara is making $11 million a year from a team that doesn't have as deep pockets as the Padres owner has, at least in terms of their desire to spend, Musgrove should get more money. So I'll look for that. I'm going to look for that tonight. Yu Darvish, on the other hand, after giving up 9 runs, that really bad clunker to San Francisco on April 12th, he's allowed a combined 4 runs in his last 3 starts. He shut out the Dodgers in April in his second to last start. Last time out, he gave up 3 runs against Pittsburgh. A couple of those were kind of unlucky. I remember the first run, a pitch was hit off of his back, and the deflection, Kim, I think, was going towards short or going towards second base to go get the ball because he wasn't thinking it was going to hit off Yu's back, and it deflected into the outfield and a run scored. So some of his runs that he gave up there on that Pittsburgh start, his last start, were a little bit unlucky. You hope that unluckiness does not happen again tonight, but I expect Darvish to pitch well again today. Will it be 7 innings, 1 earned run? I don't personally think so, because the bullpen is in a good spot right now. The bullpen had 2 guys pitch yesterday, so pretty much the entire bullpen had a day off yesterday. So as you can see here, Rogers and Garcia are probably down today, right? Both had at least 15 pitches last night, 2 days in a row. You can have Wilson and Suarez close it if you need to, right? And then even then you have, I know Tim Hill has sucked this year. I know Lamet hasn't been great, or Stammen, but you still have 6 guys that did not pitch yesterday that could be available. So I think Darvish, his goal should be like 6 innings. And then now if pitch count helps and it's, he's trying to go through 7 and he's giving up 2 runs, going into that 7th inning, okay, go ahead. But if he's at 6 innings and he's already at 90 pitches, you have 6 guys that are available tonight to go. So I don't think it's totally the worst scenario if he goes 6 innings only. So I wouldn't expect him to go 7, but maybe that's just me not believing that he's going to pitch as well as Nick Martinez pitched last night. Nick Martinez, I don't know if he's going to pitch that well again the rest of this season. He pitched really, really well last night. get one run. He got out of those double play situations or those big situations most of the time, got the double play. The one run he gave up was to Jesus Aguilar RBI. He pitched well. I wouldn't bet that Darvish will pitch that well again tonight. That's not saying that Darvish won't pitch well, but Martinez pitched really well. I don't know if Darvish will pitch really well tonight, if that makes sense. So that's the bullpen situation for tonight. As for the lineups, let's see if the Marlins lineup's out. The Padres lineup is. Marlins lineup is not as of now. But for the Padres, got Jake Cronenworth leading off, Ha-Seong Kim hitting second, Manny, Haas, Profar, Nola, Grisham, Beatty in there again. Abrams gets another start finally. Maybe I shouldn't say finally because he's not hitting as well as Kim, obviously. But this is a interesting lineup. This is the biggest lineup shakeup that I've seen in a long time. Obviously, I mean, the season just started still, but it's been like, it feels like 2 weeks. I mean, I don't have every day's lineup in front of me, but like Profar, I put out a stat earlier this morning. He's hitting, the last 7 games, he's 1 for 27. And all of those games were in the cleanup spot, in the 4 spot. So he moves down 1 to the 5 spot. Hosmer moves up to the 4. And I think that's really big because you can't just not pitch to Manny, even though the Marlins did pitch to Manny last night, obviously 2 bombs. But you can't just say, okay, I'm not going to pitch to Manny because we have Hosmer up. He's hitting 376. You can't say, let's try to get Ha-Seong Kim out so we don't have to, because Manny's up next. Well, you can do that. Kim's hitting pretty good. He's making contact. Cronenworth, he doesn't strike out a ton. I know he didn't start out the season great, but he's still known as a contact hitter, right? Profar, he's been swinging at pitches out of the zone. I think that's part of the reason why he struggled. But even him, he puts bat on the ball. Same thing with Nola, right? But same thing, what I looked at this lineup as well, while it's great, I like the 1 through 4 because it takes Profar out of the 4 hole. I like having Manny and Hosmer back-to-back, the 2 best hitters on the team right now. I like Jake leading off. Just something different, because they needed that. They just did not produce offensively last night. And props to Jesus Luzardo a little bit, but what were they? 0 for 4, I think, with runners in scoring position. They left 6 guys on base. The Marlins had more guys in scoring position last night than the Padres did. And the Padres still won. So they're lucky that they won because Manny hit 2 bombs. But they need more production. And I like the top 4, so that's why I like it, because of the top 4. You can get out to a hot start, hopefully, or whenever those top 4 come up again consecutively in the game. You can use that to your advantage, and you have to use it to your advantage tonight, because after the top 4, though, there's nothing really, the bottom half of the lineup. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No one's hitting better than 208, and Nola's hitting 208. There's no power really, 5 through 9. Grisham's still struggling. I'm a little curious to see how he does in the 7 spot. I don't know the last time he's hit in the 7 spot. This year, it's usually like leadoff or 9th, given the second leadoff hitter type, that sort of situation. So I'm kind of interested to see how he does there. But I like the construction of the top 4. You would just like to see more production out of the last 5, right? So I'd put the 1 through 4 right now up against definitely the Marlins' top 4 guys, right? Chisholm, Aguilar, who else? John Birdie, is he in there? I put that up. I think that's better than theirs. But the bottom 5, I mean, there's not a whole lot there. So give me your thoughts on the Padres lineup in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It's an interesting lineup. I mean, you have to be open to it because the team's not scoring a ton of runs right now. They need something to change. And so I like that Bob Melvin did make this change. And I think that Bob Melvin is going to be back in the dugout tonight as the manager. He was peeping his head out there in the dugout a little bit last night, if you guys saw that. He was in a sweatshirt talking to Musgrove and Manaea at the beginning of the game, but he did not manage. So Ryan Christensen, undefeated as Padres manager, undefeated as manager in general. He's 2-0. He was a manager last year, I think, and the A's won on a walk-off, and then obviously yesterday winning 2-1 against the Miami Marlins in the first of 7 at Petco Park in this homestand. All right, getting through some comments here. Eric, I have not done the pick yet, so stay tuned for that. I will get to that. Irie says if Manny is to win MVP, he has to blow everyone out of the water. If it's a close call, he won't get it because Major League Baseball is biased against him for his youth. Well, I agree because of the narrative, right? The dirty player narrative, all of that stuff. I agree. It's unfortunate that he's going to have to blow people out of the water, but that's just the way it is, right? But what I would say to that is he does have the positive narrative going. Not narrative, the positive thing going for him in terms of valuable. And what I mean by that is with Tatis out, the best shortstop in baseball, he's had to carry the team. Myers out, Grisham struggling, Myers hurt, Voit struggled, and now he's hurt as well. Him and Hosmer, that's pretty much it. And you have a utility guy, a left fielder in Profar, who was the third best hitter on the team for the first few weeks of the season. So he's had to carry the team. Without the best player on the team available, he's playing like an MVP. So in terms of valuable, not just best player, he's the best player in the National League right now, in my opinion, and according to stats. But we know that's not relevant to the voters for some reason. Anyway, but in terms of the word valuable in the most valuable player award, he's definitely doing that. He's fulfilling that role because of the pressure that was put on him going into the season because of Fernando's absence. Irie agrees, definitely need more offensive production. Trent is my biggest concern, she said. Are you a she or he, Irie? Erie. Trent is my biggest concern. He is a rebuilding piece, and we are not a rebuilding team no more. I kind of disagree with Trent being a rebuilding piece. The Padres offered him an extension recently. What was it, last year that they offered him an extension, and he turned it down, trying to bet on himself? So the Padres thought he was not just a rebuilding piece. The Padres were trying to win going into 2020, right? You thought you would have hoped they would have made the playoffs, but it wasn't guaranteed. But going into 2020, they knew that when they acquired him, they were going to have him under control for 5 years, 6 years? So with that in mind, they knew that they were going to contend. So they wanted him to be a starting outfielder, long-term for the team. So they don't view him as a rebuilding piece. I don't view him as a rebuilding piece. Is he playing like that? Kind of like Manuel Margot? Okay, yeah. But Trent's a better player, I think, or at least ceiling-wise, than Manny Margot. And I think he can bounce back. I don't know what the changes he needs to make are. Maybe I'll do a breakdown on that and dive further into that when I have some time. But I don't want to give up on him yet. I'll say that. Kim is our third best hitter. Maybe. I still want to go Cronenworth, but right now, I guess you could say that, yeah. Because it's not Profar. He's 1 for 27, right, in his last 7 games. It's not Nola. It's not Grisham. It's not Beatty hitting .086. It's not Abrams. So it's either Cronenworth or Kim, I would say, as the third best hitter right now. Oceanside Boys 760. How do you feel about a 6-man rotation? I would refer you to go watch or listen to episode 158 that I put out. It's available on this YouTube channel. I went further in depth on that there. just kind of like an elevator pitch to go watch it. I presented a scenario with the 6-man rotation where one guy is piggybacking. I think I put Snell as someone piggybacking Snell. And I think I had Clev pitching on his own. And Gore, because that would be 6. So you'd have Manaea, Darvish, Musgrove, Gore, Clev. What is that? Snell. That's 6, I think. And then I had Martinez piggybacking one of them. So I went further in depth on that. I provided a few 5-man rotation options. I provided one 6-man. I talked about Mackenzie Gore and the possibility, Kevin Acee saying today that he might be sent down or could be, or it might be easier for him to be sent down because of how Nick Martinez pitched last night. And if he continues to pitch this way, I totally disagreed. So I gave my thoughts on that. So for more of my full thoughts are there, specifically about the rotation, Oceanside Boys 760, and anyone watching this live or on replay. So I encourage you to go watch or listen to that episode. Do you think the time is now for the Padres? Irie says. I mean, it's hard to say it's now when the Dodgers are the way they are, but it's definitely time to make the postseason. Heck yeah. You don't make the postseason this year, that's a failure. That is a failure of a season. It's the same thing as last year. Last year they should have made the postseason and they collapsed. Last year was a failure. This year they don't make the postseason with all the added resources and having Bob Melvin and Ruben Niebla and having Tatis come back and this hot start and Manny being MVP to start the year. Yeah, and Taylor Rogers being the best reliever in the National League right now, in my opinion, arguably in baseball. Yeah, that is inexcusable. It's their time to make the postseason. World Series, I think that's a little bit of a stretch because of the Dodgers, the Mets. To be honest, I think the Mets are better overall right now than the Padres are, but we're still in May. We're starting May. So it's a long ways away. A lot of things can happen. And by the way, Jacob deGrom's coming back for them. So that would be my response to that right now. Justin Herbert Savage, I think you just hopped into the chat here live. I don't like the 6-man rotation, he says. What's your thoughts about it? I just kind of addressed that. Episode 158 I put out today on YouTube and the podcast platforms. I addressed the 6-man, gave my full thoughts on that, so I encourage you to go watch or listen to that. Briefly, I think that they're going to use it. They're going to use it throughout this homestand. I know that. It's already been said. I think that they're going to use it at some point during the season when they have like 31 games in 31 days. I talked about when that stretch is going to be on episode 158. I gave my more full thoughts on that episode earlier today. So I think that the better place to hear my thoughts about it is through that. Because I had like stats, I had all my notes out for that. Jay says, would we want Kim to get reps in the outfield for when Tatis gets back? No. I think Abram should get reps in the outfield. And I think if Kim is hitting well, he'll play second base. And they have Hosmer DH if he continues to hit well. And you have Cronenworth play first. I think that's the way you would go. Because Luke Voit, I'm sorry, I just don't have a ton of confidence that he's going to return and hit 300, and be more consistent than Eric Hosmer is right now, based on what I've seen in the minor leagues in his rehab starts. I don't think he has a hit yet. What I saw at the big league level with the Padres before he got hurt with the biceps injury, it wasn't pretty. You just throw him breaking balls all day, and he's not going to do really anything against you. So that's what I would do. I mean, you could give Voit DH days, but personally, I think if Voit continues to be on this plane and doesn't get better and increase his productivity offensively, I think you go Manny at third, Tatis at short, Kim at second, Cronenworth at first, and Haas DHing. That's probably what I would do. All right. I want to get to my Padre pick because Eric, I know, has been waiting for that. Last game yesterday, I picked Austin Nola. He went 0 for 3, so I'm 15-10 so far. So I got to get back to picking some easier players, I guess. Get that record back up. I'm going Manny tonight. I made 2 home runs last night. I'm going to pick him or Haas until they cool down. I mean, I've tried to go Grisham or Nola, do Cronenworth, do something different, but those are easily the 2 best hitters in the lineup right now. And so it's not like there's 5 different really good options. There's not. It's not even like 4 great options like at the beginning of the season where you could still have Profar as an option. He's cooled down. So I got to go Manny tonight. I like having Hosmer behind him with a little bit of protection. Even having Kim in front of him, that's not an easy at-bat. So I'm going to go Manny for my pregame show Padre pick. The one guy, if I had to pick one Padre that I think will get a hit, I'm going to go him tonight. Justin Herbert, Savage. Well, again, I'd encourage you to change your username. This is a joke, but I'd encourage you to change your username. I liked Herbert when he was with Oregon, but he's a Charger now, so anything Chargers I hate, so please change that username. Maybe change it to Manny Machado Savage. I'd be happy with that. Or Cronenworth Savage, since you're talking about Cronenworth here. Cronenworth going to go 3 for 4, 2 singles, and a 2-run homer. That is a loaded night for him then. My goodness. That's called being MVP of the game then, if that happens. You would think that Darvish is going to get plenty of run support then. I'd be up for that. All right. How about some MLB news and notes, shall we? Red Sox and the White Sox are on Apple TV Plus. Tonight, around the division, National League West, Colorado's playing the Diamondbacks. Giants are hosting the Cardinals, and the Dodgers-Cubs game got postponed. 6 games. I was about to say 5. 6 games have been postponed already tonight. Toronto, Cleveland, Texas, and the Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Royals, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and the Dodgers, Cubs have all been postponed tonight. Wow. All right. Talk about some bad weather. I'm in New York right now, and it's been raining all day, so that kind of sucks, but so it's not surprising the Yankee game got postponed, and then the Phillies nearby in Philly got postponed. The Mets are riding high. I mean, they're fine with it being postponed. You score 7 runs in the 9th, you go win. Rest on your laurels for a couple days, huh? And they have, like a 5-game lead on the Marlins for the division. An interesting game, I think, Juan Soto against the Angels. Angels, man, they are playing really well. 17-10. It helps to have Mike Trout, the best player in the world, I think. I mean, Ohtani's good too. I know Manny's the MVP right now. I said that earlier, but Mike Trout, he's the best player I've probably ever seen live at the 2016 All-Star Game and just watched on TV in my lifetime like an active player. Just amazing. I mean, I could watch every single at-bat he takes. My goodness. But so having Trout helps. Rendon healthy helps. Taylor Ward hitting like over 300 helps. And then having Shohei Ohtani go 7 scoreless innings like he did last night and hit a laser off the Fenway scoreboard, the Green Monster, that certainly helps. I mean, the Angels' offense is clicking. The Angels' pitching staff seems to be clicking. 17-10 is one heck of a start. Oh, and then you get to play the 9-18 Nationals. So things are working for them. Justin Herbert Savage says his name will change in a minute. All right, better change. Manny Machado Savage, that's what I want it to be. Irie says, Crone Zone mural, Jake Twilight Zone theme painting. I can see it now. Yeah, I mean, they gave Darvish a mural last year. I think that was a little bit overboard. Musgrove deserves it. Manny deserves it. Tatis deserves it. But those are all because they're going to be here for a long time. Musgrove, the no-hitter, Grossmont High School, all that. He deserves it. Obviously, his number should be retired, and I think it will be, combining him with Peavy, the number 44, when Musgrove decides to retire. I think it should replace Steve Garvey, but that's another conversation for another day. Cronenworth, Amir, I think that's too early. I think I'd lump him in the same category as Darvish. Like, why do you want a Cronenworth mural? What has he done? Okay, he's made an all-star game once. That doesn't mean that he should have a mural yet, you know? Maybe that sounds harsh, but he's not on a 14-year contract like Tatis, right? He's not on a 10-year deal like Machado. Justin Herbert Savage changes his username to Eric Hosmer is just better. I'll take that for now. Or maybe come with that same energy in the end of May if Hosmer is struggling. Remember, it is May, guys. I know he's playing well right now, but there's still a long way to go in the rest of this month. I'll be at Petco Park later this month, so I'll be probably going live, doing some content inside Petco Park as well. So I'm excited for that, talking to some fans. So I'm excited, really excited for that to come, coming home soon. All right, that'll do it for the pregame show. Padres Marlins kicks off tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific Time, Valley Sports San Diego, 97.3 The Fan. Eric Hosmer is just better. I appreciate you for watching. Justin Herbert Savage, former username for you. I'm proud of you for changing that. Irie, thank you for tuning in. Dude, thank you for tuning in. Jay, thank you for tuning in. Oceanside Boy, Roberto, Zach, Jay, Eric, of course, with the picks. Anthony, I appreciate you. John, I appreciate everyone for tuning in live here. Thank you for watching on replay. Again, episode 158 is available, podcast and on YouTube, talking about the rotation construction, lay out some possible ways that Bob Melvin will form that rotation when Blake Snell comes back. That'll do it. I hope you tune into that. This has been the pregame show for May 6, 2022. Ben Fadden signing off. See ya.